Thank you. I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jack Sapia.
Here.
Doug Woodward.
I think he's gonna be late. He's at the track meet over there.
Okay.
I'm here.
Shauna Manthor.
Here.
And
Mark is excused, Alyssa is excused, and so is Paul.
Paul. Okay. Marion Springer here and Shauna Manthor.
All right. Pledge of Allegiance, Shauna, I believe you said some friends wanted to lead it?
So we have some visitors here from Sandown North, so when you guys are ready, you can start the pledge for us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Can I say, I liked hearing the voices loud and proud and like even above the adults.
That's great. Jack Sapia.
Point of order.
I was, you don't have to point of order. I was already calling on you.
Oh, okay. Wanna fight? I'd like to have a moment of silence. We lost a student from the graduating class of 2013, Jeffrey Edgecombe. He was tragically killed in an accident last week, so if you can join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. He was a soccer player. My daughter knew him well. I talked to a number of the staff and everyone spoke in very high regards to Jeffrey. So time is precious, right? Thank you.
All right. We have one set of public meeting minutes and we do have one set of non-public meeting minutes. Okay, we'll do the public ones first.
Oh, I was gonna say, I should have told you this.
Hello, Dawn.
We'll make a motion to approve the school board meeting minutes from April 2nd, 2026.
So, motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Marianne. Anybody have any clerical errors, discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed, and abstained, 6-0-0. All right, and then you have your non-public meeting minutes in front of you.
I'll make a motion to approve the non-public session of April 2nd, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Jack, seconded by Shauna. Any discussion on the non-public meeting minutes? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, 6-0-0. If you could pass those back, please. All right, and then we have some lovely visitors here. Who do we have?
Well, I'd like to first introduce Principal Yasik. I think we'll be brief and then kind of let us know kind of who we're gonna meet and what we're gonna learn about tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
Welcome,
Good
welcome.
evening.
Thank you.
Laura Dasik, Principal of Sandown North Elementary, and I'm excited to be here tonight, joined by a group of our current fifth graders who are going to share with you about the DARE program. This is the third year that Sandown North has adopted the DARE program. My first year at Sandown North, the Sandown North Police Department was in visiting the school. And Sergeant Sable, we were getting to know each other, and he was sharing his experiences of being the facilitator of the DARE program at Chester Academy, and said, "Hey, are you interested in bringing this program, to Sandown North? It's a great program." He's very passionate about it, and so through the approval of our SAU, we have this program at Sandown North, and the kids are here tonight to tell you all about the program and their experiences.
Awesome. Come on up, guys.
You guys want some of those extra chairs? Are you good? Yeah, I can pull those up. Yeah.
Nobody else for the hot seats.
Would you all like to introduce yourselves first?
Yep. I'll go first. Hi, my name is Corbin. Hi, my name is Hunter. Hi, my name is Gianna. Hi, my name is Kinsley. Hi, my name is Lila. Hi, my name's Ian.
Hi, my name's Tegan.
Hi, my name's Sean.
Is it not responding?
He's got the
Try
touch.
again.
Is this one in the back?
I'm gonna do the other one.
Oh, there it went.
Yeah, it's the other
It's on delay.
Do opposite. All right.
This is Sergeant Sable. He is the teacher of the DARE program and one of our town police officers.
He's super nice and understandable.
He explains things so that we can understand. He is a great police officer in DARE. What is DARE? DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Law enforcement officers partner with schools to teach 5th grade students skills to resist peer pressure to use drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. The lessons focus on decision-making, safety, and healthy choices. This is what we talk about and learn in every DARE session.
DARE rules. Raise your hand, be respectful, use the quiet signal. Don't use people's names and feel free to pass. Learn to use your DARE decision-making model. DARE decision-making model. Define. Describe the problem, challenge, or opportunity. Assess. What are your choices? Respond. Make a choice. Use the facts and information you have gathered. Evaluate. Review your decision. Did you make a good choice? Here's an example. Homework versus going to the movies. Your friends want you to go to the movies, but you have homework to do. Define. Your friends want you to go to the movies, but you have homework to do. Assess. You can go to the movies or you can do your homework. Respond. You decided to do your homework. Evaluate. You made a good choice because you didn't fail because you did your homework. Here is the instructional plan. First, there's 10 lessons and there is one a week. It is 30 minutes on Wednesdays. There's also an end of program ceremony where there's a barbecue. This is our student workbook, and we build our own glossary, and it has different situations that we define, assess it, respond to it, and then evaluate it.
We're gonna pass this around, so you guys can do it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Here are some lessons we do in DARE. This week we learned about communicating effectively. When you communicate, you need to show confidence.
Students engaged in learning. This is our 3 5th grade classes and students split into different groups for DARE, working with Sergeant Sable and learning from him.
We are looking forward to our own 5th grade DARE ceremony and celebrate these pictures of last year's 5th graders getting their certificates and sharing their DARE essays. Here are some pictures from last year's 5th grade barbecue. This year's ceremony will be at 2 p.m. Barbecue is at 12:45 p.m. till 1:15 p.m. on Friday, May the 29th. Parents are invited as well, and you are welcome too. That's our DARE program. Have a good day.
Anybody have any questions for them?
What's the best? Oh, sorry,
Sorry.
I'm out of order.
Was that a real example that
Yes.
I'm proud of you, that was a good decision. It was a good example of what you're trying to show there and the way you go about doing problem solving.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Dr. Martin?
Thank you, excuse me.
Oh, you're fine.
What is the best part about DARE?
Getting to learn about the different things, like what is like a good choice and what isn't.
And learning what we should do later in life.
Very good.
So do you feel like what you learned in DARE is good skills that you can take on for other situations? Yeah, that's good. Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. It was really great. You all spoke so well. Sometimes half the battle is getting up in here and speaking. And thank you all for leading us in the pledge earlier. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Well done, Sandown North.
Very well.
I think our Nielsen numbers are walking out the door.
I know, so we have to give them a minute.
Get back here.
We'll give them a few minutes before we go. Linda, did we have any other delegates or individuals?
No.
Could I get a motion to move the 30 minutes of delegates individuals to the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Mary Ann. Any discussion? All those in favor? 5, Dawn stepped out. Oh, wait, were you for it? All right, 6. Okay.
Just wave goodbye.
Okay. It's like herding cats today. Looks like we don't have a student rep.
We don't
Do you
have Cam,
anything you
Cam
want to pass
Stack.
along from
Yeah, I
him?
do have some
Okay.
info from Cam, and Cam is not in attendance with us because him and a lot of other Timberlane students from all 4 performing ensembles are doing some all-state things this evening, so he's not with us. But some important updates to share, mostly at the high school, or all at the high school, I should say. An update on Hadestown is that it drew 1,100 community members.
Awesome.
Who came out for ticket sales, and they got to watch our kids perform at an incredibly high level over the course of those 4 performances.
That's awesome.
The high schools also has Mental Health Week all across next week. It's well advertised through the communities, but I did want to highlight just the evening portions of what's happening next week. Monday night, there's a coffee house at 6 p.m. That's at the high school cafeteria. Tuesday night, there's Judge Broderick who is speaking. He has spoken all across the state of New Hampshire on the issues of mental health and using his own personal experience with his son to champion a cause of just awareness and destigmatization. That is open to the public on Tuesday evening. Wednesday evening, there's a wellness fair for students and the entire community after school. Thursday evening, we've got a Milkmen performance at 7 p.m. and that's accompanied with food trucks all across the main campus before, hoping for really great weather as we had last year on that day. And Friday, we're going to end with a team dance showcase at 6:30, and that's at the PAC. So 5 opportunities for people to engage with high school students across the spectrum of different activities across next week, in addition to a lot of things going on in our schools those days. So really encourage the community to come out from the high school kids asking you to come out and support what they're talking about and learning about those 5 days.
And I'm sorry if you already said it, but
Yes.
what times did those start? You said evening, but was it?
There's a couple of different times. So 6 p.m. is the Monday coffee.
Okay.
Tuesday, Judge Broderick, I believe, is a 7 p.m. start, but we'll confirm if that's not by the
Yeah,
end of
it's
the meeting. Wednesday is directly after school and goes till about 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Thursday, food trucks begin at, I think, 5, and the Milkman's at 7. And then Friday is 6:30 for the dance competition.
Thank
you. Bet. Thank you, Cam, for presenting all of that.
Yeah, and I think Cam did a really good job in Hadestown as well. Didn't he play Hades?
He was amazing.
He was, yes.
I think he had 2 performances
Yeah.
of the 4, but yes, he was
Yeah.
Hades in both of those.
So, all right, moving on to current business. This is a Dr. Martin and the facilities. It's the financial differentials for the high school enclosure options. If you can believe.
Yes, as I go through some of this, if I could ask
Absolutely.
our friends from Banwell and EEI to come up and have a seat.
Come on up, guys. Thank you for being here.
Hey, everybody.
So we've been talking about this project for quite a while, led by Committeeman Sapia. And we're at the point now where the board gave us permission to move forward with coming up with, or EEI coming up with a financial differential. And forgive me, this is very dense, and there are a couple of sentences here that were a little hard to write. We were looking at the financial differential between removing the existing gypsum wallboard or substrate and replacing it with a dense element system. And this would enable the designable alignment of these 2 systems, that being the dense element system and the aluminum composite material, as well as the discovery of any structural issues beneath the substrate to be revealed and managed. It should be noted that this process would cost, and this is the financial differential, 25 to 30% more than the second option. The second option is conflicted in that the second option is to leave that gypsum board substrate in place and cover it with a self-adhered membrane. We've had some revelations today that may tell us a little bit more about that. But if this is not an exterior gypsum board, this would prompt design and warranty limitations requiring modifications from both the installer, the design, et cetera. I'm gonna ask Chris, I hope I represented that correctly, Chris and Scott to talk a little bit more about that. And you can see, Brad, excuse me, forgive me.
We call worse.
Well, Scott Donovan from Warren Street Architects is a fabulous architect, just like yourself, so it wasn't a bad thing.
Not as good, but I understand.
So I'm gonna ask these two gentlemen if they could talk a little bit more about this, and you will see we are looking for approval to move forward for vote here. Gentlemen?
Yeah. You want me to flesh out sort of what you were just
Yeah,
talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to perhaps give a little bit more background and what
sure.
we discussed today, just today, as kind of a perhaps a new.
So for those who aren't familiar with the background, I did some extensive what we call in the business destructive investigation of the wall system by drilling basically holes down to various levels of the walls in various places to figure out what the assembly of the existing wall is. And in all of those cases, when they got to the stuff, the sheathing that is attached to the studs, they discovered that it's what we in the business call gypsum wallboard or sheetrock, and without any labels on it. Usually sheetrock has a printing on it telling you what it is. It was very concerning to us because that's not where you would want to find regular sheetrock. It doesn't hold up against the weather, and there hasn't been any evidence yet that it is an exterior grade sheetrock, which something, I've been doing this longer than I'd like to admit, but over 40 years, and I've never installed a exterior grade sheetrock on a building. That's just never been a detail that I've done. So we came to the facilities committee and said, look, if we can't figure out that this is some sort of exterior grade sheetrock that I'm not familiar with, then we're gonna need to recommend the replacement of the sheetrock with something that is proven, because we don't wanna put sort of a rain jacket on top of something that's defective, because then we can't warranty the entire system and tell you that it's gonna last the 40 years you want it to last. So consequently, we had pretty lengthy discussions with the facilities committee about, okay, what are we talking about? And really, basically, it's those two options: removing the sheetrock right and the wall system right down to the studs, so you can see the studs at the back of the insulation that faces out, or basically covering the sheetrock. And that's when the facilities committee asked EEI to give some sort of very high level percentage differentiation or incremental increase for that other scope. Now that being said, we've been doing ongoing investigations. Chris has been pulling his numbers together, and we have only lately heard from some guys who have been in the field longer than me, which is saying something. And one of them said, well, I actually have seen this application. I have seen somebody install exterior grade sheetrock. It's the first time I'd ever heard of it. So essentially what Chris is alluding to is it gave us enough hope that we wanted to make you aware that there's a possibility that we won't need to recommend the removal of the sheetrock, but we won't know that yet. We just don't know enough yet. EEI is planning to do some more extensive investigations of that wall by actually removing a panel or panels down to the sheetrock to see if we can find the printing on the sheetrock, and as well as digging deeper in some paperwork from the old architects, if it exists, because paperwork from 20 years ago is pretty hard to find. And so without, we're sort of planning for the worst and hoping for the best. And the worst case is this 25 to 30% increase in cost scenario to basically start from the studs out with the new build. And the best case scenario is we're able to keep that product that's on there and cover it and build out from there instead.
When would you know if you would have to remove it or not? I know you say you're investigating, but when would you know if, nope, this is okay, or nope, we gotta rip it out?
What's the plan for the destructive investigation? What's the timeline?
Well, we could get into that as soon as possible for that. But I guess you'd know as soon as we were able to verify the composition and the specification of the existing product.
So I think what we're talking about is probably in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna know if we know or not. That's really, we're either gonna find, there's either gonna be printing on that sheetrock that we didn't see where we were cutting the holes, or there's no printing, in which case we're just gonna have to recommend removal. So we're hoping that there's some printing there and we're gonna get some good news.
Right, Jack and then Marianne had a question.
First of all, I wanna thank you guys because we had actually at the last meeting approved going ahead and making that change. They came back to us today and said, you know what, based on what Brad had heard, that they're gonna do some further investigation and all that would do is save us money. And it was, I think it's fair to say that that kind of came as a surprise to us when we saw the drywall or gypsum board behind what's already failing. So that's kind of an unusual spec. So these guys deserve a lot of credit for going the extra 10 yards because it's all based on margin and they're trying to save us time and money. And the point I was gonna make was, I think it's fair to say that you'd have that answer for us, Chris, by the next board meeting, which would be in 2 weeks. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but does that give you enough?
That has got potential to be true.
Marianne?
It's possible, that's what I heard there.
A lot of things are possible.
Whoops, my car ran into the wall.
Marianne?
So even if you find the label saying it's exterior drywall, if it's already 20 years old, is it still viable?
As long as it hasn't been subject to moisture infiltration, because you have some, for the lack of a better word, some holes in what we call the rain barrier of that wall. I mean, some of the fiber cement panel is gone, right? It's just degraded to the point where it's missing. In that case, the water is getting into the wall system, and once it starts to get into your building, it can cause other damage, including, it can make the sheetrock what we call punky, right? It's exactly what it sounds like. You press on it and it gets spongy, that's gonna come out. It can, if it gets further in beyond that, it can rust stud-work. I mean, I don't wanna sound like a, wet blanket here, but that's some of the things that can happen. The good news is though that, I think it's good news, as an old timer, we used to use tar paper on walls all the time. That's what's on there. It's sheetrock and then tar paper, and then tar paper does a pretty good job. That's why it was used for decades. There's better stuff now, but so we're hopeful, but we're also trying to be realistic.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if, I'm assuming that during the time frame that was built, that putting interior sheetrock would have not been part of the specifications at that point?
No, you wouldn't, well.
This is the point that I think I want to make on here, is that if this is the case, on this stuff, it's shame on the contractor, because they, in my opinion, they were cutting corners back then. But then also I would say shame on the people that were overseeing that whole process during that time frame, because they allowed it to happen. And and it gives people in your industry the bad name for that. And I'm not looking to judge you guys. I like to judge people on their own merit. But it's, from my point of view, I would always be wanting to check, make sure you guys are doing what exactly you guys are doing. And that's what I think our fiduciary responsibility is. We're at least delegate it to somebody within here that, one, knows what they're talking about, and two, can keep you guys honest. Because you're not gonna be around in 20 years, we're not gonna be around in 20 years, and it's gonna be somebody else's problem. And then really gets boiled down to who pays for all this? All the taxpayers that are out there doling out the money for this.
And that's why when EEI found what they did, we found it so alarming, because I know the architect's reputation who did the work. They have a very good reputation. Even though that's a different office.
Yeah.
Although that construction company entity is not in business anymore, I know people that worked there, and some of them work at a new company that's been folded into, and they also have a good reputation. So it was surprising to me to find the sheetrock. But as building scientists and architects, we have to work with what's in front of us.
Oh, I understand.
And so when we find the sheetrock, we don't find any evidence that's it's exterior grade. We have to assume it is what it appears, and we'll be very happy to find differently. But at this point,
I think we all will.
at this point, we want to keep you guys up to speed and help you make informed decisions.
We just want to follow up on that, and it says with that option, pulling it down. I mean, of course, you can see the added labor, all that cost. It says it's 25 to 30% increase over the other option. But what does that equate to in dollars, though? I mean, 25 to 30% of what?
So it was asked in that way in order to be respective to there not being an actual budget for this process.
I think in full disclosure, we should know, are we talking 50,000, 500,000?
Hold on, I think Doc Martin might be able to answer something.
So, and this is why we're here this evening, looking for which direction you want to send us in. Once we know which option we're going to choose, or the board is going to choose, then we can move into the design phase. An actual dollar amount for this project can't be determined until the design phase is completed.
But then how can you quantify coming up with a 25 to 30%? If you know that range of 5%, you pretty much know the range of the.
So go ahead, Jack. I'm so sorry.
It's kind of like the differential of putting one product on the wall versus another product on the wall. You kind of know what that spread is going to be, right? It's the difference between doing block and brick. You can say roughly it's going to cost this much more in manpower and this much more in materials, but until you pick out the actual brick versus the actual block, you're not going to be able to specify a specific number. So you have a range. Does that?
We know block is say $10 and brick is $2.
Within a range. And what they're saying is that differential between having to do the demo and put the new stuff on will be approximate, and the new stuff is a new expense, right? So that's, and I think I would just say that that's closer to the lower number that you mentioned, just because I've been doing some research, and I don't want to be specific, even though I love being specific. But the other point I wanted to make here while I am talking away is that if that is interior drywall, we want to fix that anyways, because now we have a condition. I mean, the way I see this project, the weather is infiltrating in the building in a number of almost all places at this point. And
But
we're doing this whole process to eliminate that, and this will probably be on the building for its life expectancy. So this is a 30-year investment. Is that fair to say? So
Absolutely.
If we have an interior drywall on the outside of the building, for all the reasons Brad just mentioned, you want to rectify that.
Oh, I agree.
But to Sean's point, this project was based off the variance that we had with the lease, with not doing the pack roof. If this 25 to 30% more, is that gonna be more than the variance that is left?
So
I think that would give the
Yeah.
dollar, because that was what it was. When we met the last time, it was, well, what does this mean? Is it gonna be within the variance? Is it outside the variance? How much more are we talking
I
about?
would have to say that those numbers are completely different or separate from each other. They don't have any bearing on each other, the percentage versus the PAC budget.
No, what I'm saying is that the variance that was left over from not doing the PAC budget, we had so much left over with the lease. This is where this project was gonna fit into. So what I'm, hold on. So what I'm asking is that with that variance that we had left over, I understand it's not part of the PAC thing. But the variance that's left over, is that 25 to 30% is gonna be, is that variance gonna cover it? Or is it gonna be more?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So we've been endeavoring with your facilities committee to establish what the it is.
Right.
So what's the design, what's the sandwich of the wall? Until we establish what that is, we can't design to it. We can't, once we design to it, we can give it to EEI and they can wrap a number around it to tell you how much they think it's going to cost. It's, so until we actually know what you want us to do, it's impossible for us, for EEI to give you a number to tell you whether or not it's within the budget of the PAC money. I think,
So that makes sense. So I guess my next question is that I see what Sean, because I don't feel good about approving something that I don't have dollar figures in front of. But if tonight's thing is to say, okay, we wanna look at option one. We're gonna approve option one. So you guys are gonna go back, you're gonna go see how much it's actually gonna do, and then it comes back to us and say, okay, yeah, that's what we wanna do now? Is that what?
what we're looking, if, and just tell me if I'm
So here's
if
what I,
I'm misspeaking,
Yeah,
but
here's
what
how
we're
I-
looking for as design professionals is direction that, okay, guys, pursue the design of option one where you replace the sheetrock assuming that it's interior.
Okay.
Let's get a design together and let's get it priced. If in the process of doing that in the next few weeks, we get good news, we'll take the dense element scope out of the design and we will use the product that's on there if it's suitable. But we have to, we're trying to get going with a design direction as it were, or direction from you as to what the scope is, so we can get started with, you know, putting something together that can get priced. Is that an accurate
Yeah.
description, Chris?
Shauna, and then I think Marion, and then Jack.
Okay. This is not my wheelhouse, so follow me if you can. So what I'm understanding is you're looking for direction so you can start creating a design and determining what pathway to take. And while you're doing that, you're also investigating the integrity of the, can I say drywall? That's there as to whether or not it can or can't be used. Am I correct so far?
That's correct.
Okay, now, while you're doing that, you would be able to inform us of this is what that material is. We recommend removal or we recommend using it, and then the price would come to us, yes?
That is correct. The price will come to you, but the separation of time between one thing and the next is, it's not the next day, right?
So that's
It's
my follow-up question.
yeah,
So what
it's
are we
like
looking
a
at in
couple
terms
months
of a timeline? And the reason why I ask that is because what is our timeline as a board in terms of the lease? How much longer do we have to be able to make decisions? Because I agree with Sean, like without having a dollar amount, but I do understand the process you have to take to start to create a pathway to find a dollar amount. But and obviously some, you know, time constraints related to using monies from the lease. So thank you for answering that. My next question is, what are the circumstances under which we need to make a decision for the lease so that we can potentially even do this?
You would have plenty of time to consider this with due diligence.
Marion and then Jack.
So you're looking for us to say proceed with the design, doing the option where you take out the existing drywall because we don't know the quality. But you might come back and tell us, no, we don't have to do that, which would reduce the cost. So the design won't be done, won't really get started until that decision is made? Or is there design work you can do while in these few weeks where
Well, once we have a direction on the design, we can press the go button and actually start to allocate staffing to get that done. I mean, the staffing is not sitting there with their pencils going, okay, I'm ready to go. So once we've got a direction on what design to proceed with, we can get it in the queue to actually start getting the work done. Well, that is moving forward. Chris is hard at work, you know, and in the meantime, you know, we assume we do the design with the assumption of what we know, right? Which is not what we like, but
And the output of the design phase will be a cost and design. I mean, I understand it'll be design, but will we also get a cost at that point?
so we will be doing, you know, the design has to be completed first, and then we give the bid documents in, I believe it's the end of June to EEI. And they'll be putting some things out to bid. They'll get the bids back, and then they do what's called leveling after that to make sure that, to basically challenge their subcontractors to get the best price for you. And then depending on where the price is, they'll be looking at, okay, you know, knowing what your budget is there a way to break this down into chunks? You know, in case it is over the budget for that particular pot of money, do you want to try to phase it out? So there's work to be done, and then I think they're believing that at the end of the summer, they're going to have a number before school starts in the fall. Is that accurate?
Did you?
That's the schedule, that's how we've got it.
So this is like every other project we do. Once we give them the go-ahead on the AL13 or whatever product we decide to do, and you guys say, okay, if you find that interior drywall is, and we kind of did this at the last meeting, that interior drywall should be exchanged for I call it the zip board, whatever. Brad will go do a design, come up with a budget number, then it goes out to bid. This is the way we do every project around here. It gets a budget number attached to it, then we put it out to bid. Some of the projects we've done with EEI, and for that matter within the district, come in slightly above budget, and some have come in dramatically below budget. But until we get, it's an interesting time. I don't know how loose or tight work is right now, but some contractors will be aggressive, and you may see a 20% swing in bidding for the project. It isn't like everyone comes in around the same number typically, and I'm counting on Chris to beat the snot out of the contractors to get the right number. But until they have a design, they can't come in. I based the numbers was dramatically lower than what we have there based on just some general information, talking with the manufacturer, what the cost per square foot was, and I went high on everything. So I'm not saying that that's even right, because you never know in the construction industry. I mean, the Atkinson Library came in $250,000 over the budget number. The bid on that day, they were $250,000 over. So this is just the way the process works. You get a budget number, you put it out to bid, but they can't give you a number until we give them direction. It's, product, design.
I get it. Yeah, go ahead, Sean, and then Justin.
So then, is it safe to say that if we go with this, the option to replace it under the assumption that it's an interior grade, and then we find out X number of weeks later that it is exterior, we can go the other option. Is the only exposure that we have is that basically for those N number of weeks that you're designing to replace it? Now you basically put that aside and, throw that on out, but yeah, we don't want to throw it on out, but you're gonna save a lot more money by keeping it, the exterior one. So that's really is our exposure.
Exposure is minimal at this point. I mean, it's because it's us with our pencils, right?
Okay.
And, we're not building anything in those.
No, I understand, but even pencil work isn't free, so.
But as I mentioned before, we're basically we're getting you in the queue, right? So the team isn't really even, off and running for a couple of weeks. It's pretty minimal. I mean, up until a couple of days ago, we couldn't offer you this hope that maybe it wasn't interior
Most like
sheetrock.
option
So,
one was gonna be the only option.
this is, I mean, the only,
Justin, I think you had something.
Just I think to carry out, I think what Jack and Sean and what Mary Ann were, like the end of the line is once there's a number, that comes back to the board. That number is presented to the board and the board will have a discussion and determinations of what to do with that number. So I think to all those kind of conversations, exposure, liability, where's we have the process, this isn't the end of the process tonight.
Smarter
Done.
question.
Yeah, don't.
It's possible you're gonna find different areas of the building because of how much moisture has been in the, trapped, where the gypsum board is, whatever. Some areas you might say we should leave this alone, and others that we should do it. It just seems like you're not gonna have all sides of the building with the same situation. So I'm wondering if it's could be some sort of in between somewhere in your final recommendation.
Well, there's always gonna be some level of contingency needed for unforeseen conditions, as we call it, things that are just unknown, right? Yeah, definitely orientation of the building, the substrate can be different, depending on the orientation. But there would be contingency, whether you were taking down the sheetrock or you were just leaving the sheetrock, you're gonna find stuff. Especially when you have a rain screen fiber cement like this that's already degraded to this point.
I could also see a situation where you get a mixture of both of them on there, because just thinking on a job site, you're, 20 sheets short of exterior grade sheetrock for the outside, but you got 100 on the inside. Go use the inside ones.
Let me tell you the good story here is that I've dealt with hundreds of architects over the years, over 40 years. And I've watched Brad watch out for our best interests in a number of different projects. So I have a high level of confidence that he's got our best interest in mind, as does Chris. And I would also tell you, it's his stamp, it's his reputation going on the building. So his ability not to want to cut corners, he's got to do that for selfish reasons too.
I'm not
Yeah.
accusing anybody of anything.
Oh, no,
just I know how
understand that.
people
I'm just saying, my experience in the industry, this has been a pleasure. So, and I'm confident.
I feel much better that that is the case.
Thanks, Jeff. That's all right.
Hold on. Mary Ann, Shauna, and then go.
There's one more thing. So I know that what you're looking for us to also say is that this AL13 is the product for the exterior. And I attended the facilities meeting yesterday or the day before, 2 days ago. And most of it was about this, but we did talk a little bit about the outside. And I know that the decision by the facilities committee to go with this aluminum exterior was made before, as opposed to steel. And if I understood it right, it's about durability, somewhat ease of installation, and aesthetics in the variations of the panel, plank, and batten types of parts. Was there anything, was that right? Did I summarize that right? And were there any other considerations that?
The other consideration was the longevity of the company that we're dealing with, right? The reputation of the company. And yeah, but you nailed it in a lot of different cases. There are cheaper alternatives, but we would, in my opinion, would be moving sideways. That's just me. The guarantee also was a compelling reason to go with this particular product.
Alright, Shauna,
I'm gonna make a motion.
love that.
I think we all know where we stand here, but there's no dollar amount to, discuss any further, but we need that information from you guys. I'm gonna make a motion for the board to approve the facility committee's recommendation for option number 1 for the high school envelope.
There's
And
And
To use.
in the AL.
and to also use the aluminum composite panel system. Do I have to say the
AL13.
AL13?
a motion by Shauna, do I have a second?
Second that.
Second by Jack. Yeah, after hearing, just giving you all the go ahead, I appreciate the fact that, if we don't have to get it ripped out, you guys aren't going to, and that'll just cost. And again, it does come back to the board that we can, at the end of the day, if we see the dollar figure and we're like, there's no way, we can say, no, we have another option. But I do understand that we need to give you all a starting spot, so I'm comfortable with this. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained, 6-0. Thank you guys for coming and
Thank you.
dealing with us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, next is the public speaking curriculum changes first read. Mr. Pedersen?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. So I come to you tonight with a first read for a curriculum update for the course Public Speaking. This is a course that has existed in our program of studies. The purpose of the curriculum update is due to the new ED 306 rules, we had to have schools starting with the class of 2030 has to have kids graduating with a half credit of logic and rhetoric. And through discussions with our administrative team, we felt like all kids need to also have public speaking as a graduation requirement, so we kind of married the two together. And so to meet that ED 306 rule with logic and rhetoric, and our desire to have all kids have some sort of public speaking experience, we are now putting that logic and rhetoric credit into that public speaking course. Like with all of our curriculum changes, this goes, there's extensive work done with our curriculum coordinator, Jen Popek, with the teachers to rewrite and to work on that curriculum. They talk to other teachers. And then it goes through 2 reads at Curriculum and Assessment Committee, and then it comes to the board. So tonight is the first read of that, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, but I will be back at the next board meeting to answer questions at that point as well.
You said this is because of the ED 306 requirements?
This is, yes, yeah.
Okay.
All the changes reflected in this are reflecting because of that ED 306 rules.
Sean, go ahead.
Is there a course that's like sort of, I mean, that would be replacing this one, because usually the kids have a full schedule.
What do you, I guess I don't understand what you mean.
I mean, is this course, I mean, it's a requirement that you're gonna be putting in for ED 306 requirements, but is there something else that has been relaxed, or is this just a whole new requirement?
This is a whole new requirement. If, so in November and December, I came to the board with rewrites of the program of studies and walked through all the changes. So in the class of 2030, they're actually having the graduation requirements have increased for the class of 2030 and beyond.
That's the thing, sorry.
So this is a new course. Well, it's not a new course. It is currently being offered for students as a pure elective.
Yeah.
This course is now going to be a requirement for 2030 and beyond, and because of the logic and rhetoric piece, which is new because of the ED 306. Did that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shauna?
And just to expand on that conversation, Sean, you just reminded me, as being on curriculum committee, there are other portions of the ED 306 rules that components and requirements for graduation were able to fit into other courses too, but this is an existing course and they're using it to help meet the new requirement for the class of 2030.
I'd like to make a motion to accept this, or approve the first read of the TRHS public speaking curriculum changes.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion by Dawn, got a second by Shauna. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained? All right, 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, leave elementary enrollment.
Evening, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
All right, so in your packet tonight, you have a 2-paged enrollment report. I was able to provide you with initial information for our tuition-based programs, early childhood, multi-age, and kindergarten. I want to apologize, as I went to go today to look for changes in numbers. I realized that at on the kindergarten chart, I didn't total it for you. So where you see AM finalized, AM additional requests, those together will tell you how many students we're planning for. Same with full day finalized and additional requests. For anyone here who has not heard it before, we have set an April 30th deadline for deposit. We also look for registration paperwork. We need residency, proof of residency, and we consider when all those things are turned in, a student is finalized and class placement is secure. So you'll see those numbers change next time when I'm back we hope to have all of our students finalized. So the chart at the top, early childhood, does show you what we're looking to run as far as sections based on how many students have registered online. Kindergarten is still a lot more in flux as those are coming in, but again, end of the month, we should have more information.
Anybody have any questions for Lucy?
Just a comment, looks like this multi-age classroom is gonna be exciting.
So I can tell you that Central had their parent night last night. I was at Danville's parent night tonight in the early childhood room. Atkinson also held theirs tonight, and we are getting great response from families, so we are really excited.
Awesome.
On the back side, grades 1 through 5, I did add, there was a request to show changes in sections. So I did add a row that helps you see where they're changing from this current year to next year. I want to reiterate that this page, the charts on this page, show the number of students we are going to have enrolled that we know of as of April 9th, and how many sections we are required to run based on class size policy.
Okay.
Okay, so we are still watching those on your paper, red, pink areas that are right on the max. And then we're also those pressure points that are 1 to 3 students away.
I'm hoping that perhaps at a future board meeting, we could have a little bit of a presentation about the multi-age preschool program. I understand what it is, but just a brief overview.
Anybody have, that's a great idea, Marianne. Does anybody have any other questions for Lucy about the pressure points? Again, you're gonna continue to monitor this. Yep.
Thank you,
All right.
Lucy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, budget to actual report.
Yes, that'll be me this evening. I'd be happy to walk you through this. I'm actually gonna use the slide that Dean will put up, but just to remind board members, it starts on page 38. And it's just that single budget actual slide that we routinely report to you, and then page 39 will be the cash flow report. So just kind of reviewing again, the top piece of this is really comparing 25 to 26. You can see revenue gained and expenses out the door in comparisons those years. That second graph again is just by month specific to revenue, and the third one there by month specific to expenses. Those middle columns really focus on this current year, this fiscal 26. As you can see, we have collected 80% of the projected revenue, and we've expended about 65% of our all operational costs to date. Where that revenue has come from, and again, want to continue to kind of reiterate these 3 groups here, is 84% is coming from the taxpayers thus far. These are actual numbers. 13.9% from the state or federal governments, and 2.1% from local measures. And you can see a different breakdown for expenses about where that's kind of going within the district. Operating costs, a big piece, and then salaries and benefits, of course, make up the large or vast majority of the expenses of the school district. The third kind of row there breaks down pieces from fiscal 25's actuals to where we have come all the way up until this year, with 3 months projected with the last quarter we'll be entering here shortly. I remind the board those green numbers are projections, and we are still kind of communicating to everyone here that we're threading the needle to the budget to the end of the school year. The last piece here, we continue to track the number of students and the number of personnel we have serving those students across the district and outside of this district for those students who are electing to attend other schools.
Does that personnel include contract labor?
Contracted labor is specific to its own category 69, but yes, Jack, we would consider those are staff we're employing to meet the needs of kids. Also to remind the board that 69, I think we had a presentation here previously that it said not 69 full-time staff, but it breaks down to about 54 or 51, I think was the number of full-time staff. Some of those people are contracted with us as an individual, but maybe for as little as 3 hours a week for a specific need.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sean, go ahead.
Where do we stand with all the towns for revenue coming into the?
We're in great shape right now, Sean. I appreciate you asking. We've had some really good responses to our outreach.
Any other questions about this report or the cash flow?
Yeah, maybe this is the time to bring it up. Can we get filled in on our alleged Papergate scenario, that are we, you know, cause people have contacted me from various parents in regards to some of the information that's come on home relative to paper and not coming on home and teachers not signing homeworks and all that other stuff, so like to.
Can't
So rather than
necessarily
talk-
respond to what Papergate is, I'm not so sure
Well,
what it is,
no.
but what I can respond to is what we've communicated. February, we had a spending freeze. We communicated that to our admin team, communicated that to the board and the public in the first meeting in March. In our admin meeting in February, what we charged our principals and directors doing was looking ahead, encumbering the things you absolutely need, including paper, including the things you need to operate your schools. But there is gonna be no more spending after that because we need to get a handle on some pieces. And we've never had to do that before in Timberlane. I don't think people had to think like that. And I think that some people undershot the mark. And we've got some needs here that we're looking to fill. But Papergate, the fact that we are purposely withholding resources is what I
I was
think
just
you mean.
being sort of
I know that. but like-
comical with it because it's just something that blew up and it's like paper, come on now, I mean, it's like, I mean, I think just off the top, what do we spend for paper, right, in the total thing, you know,
Don't have
maybe
those numbers.
15 grand maybe?
So, can I interject here just for a second? It's a good thing.
Sure.
So Horizon Paper, company I work for, they're donating a pallet of cartons. Cummings Printing is doing that in kind. They sent me a note today. I'm looking to get 4 more pallets, 1 for each building, through the paper industry, through some type of company. Cummings also has some additional things that they may be able to step up to. There's also, at the end of every run, because I sell big massive rolls of paper, they're just making these donations and saying, go out and get the cut size. But maybe the grammar schools, and I think I've actually donated once before, like a 35-inch roll of, you can just keep rolling and rolling, and it'll be like drawing paper for the kids, so maybe that will offset some of the needs, but I wanna thank my company for, I asked and they said absolutely, and same thing with one of my customers, and they're just great people, so maybe that will, it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal. Any donation is a good donation, right? So hopefully that's helpful.
So if teachers need paper, they have access to it, is that correct?
Through a variety of means.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Second page there was the cash flow report.
Yeah.
Again, those numbers are end of March, as we enter the last quarter of our fiscal year.
Okay.
And appreciate your outreaches, if you've participated in that, to the Board of Selectmen and the town managers. Been very helpful.
Any questions about the cash flow at this point? All right. Next thing on the list is our committee assignments. This is an old one. I had a bunch of people reach out to me with their assignments. I had some people that did not. So one thing on this list that's changed is budget committee. It will be Mary Ann and not me. The TTA negotiations, it's gonna be Shauna, Mark, and Mary Ann. TAU will be me and Alyssa at this point. The TAU we're waiting on possible dates to meet. Is that
Potential
correct?
dates as the next step.
So we don't even know. I'm looking, so we have openings for CIP and wellness. Sean, I don't know if you have any committees. What? Hold on, Shauna, go ahead.
I need to come off of curriculum and
Oh,
assessment.
that's right. So
Because that meeting time doesn't work for my schedule.
I was gonna come off curriculum assessment. So we have an opening.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute.
What?
There might be room to move it. No, somebody else needs to take it. That's too much
We
ask. Nope, it's
formerly
one
met on
person.
a different day and moved it this year to accommodate, so just.
It was me.
You're the
No, it's fine. I need to come, I need to step away from curriculum and assessment.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we have some openings for CIP, one for curriculum assessment and wellness. And is there any preference for you, Sean, on where you'd like to be plugged in?
I would probably be able to do the CIP one.
Okay, so put Sean for CIP. Do we need 3 people on curriculum assessment?
We have traditionally always had 3 because every meeting has multiple action items on it that are timely in nature, so we try to maintain 3 so that we are more likely than not to have at least 2 attempt. But we're fortunate we've been able to have usually 3.
Jack, you wanna go on curriculum assessment?
No.
But dude, you've been talking.
Actually,
You wanted to know?
Jack,
No.
would you consider it though?
I'll consider anything that's helpful. Look, it's
I think
not
it
that.
would be really
I'll
helpful.
tell you where I'm coming from on that. I'm sitting in a room full of educators.
Yeah.
And that I respect very much, and I always feel as though the committees should use the assets of the board where they're most, like, you're an educator, you're an educator, he's an educator.
Yeah, go ahead, Shauna.
You understand where I'm coming from?
I do understand that.
And I say that out of total
I
respect.
do understand that. I do understand that. But what I also hear you say at a lot of these meetings is about you doing research and trying to deepen and broaden your understanding of
I do. education
and the test scores
I'll do
and
it.
how
I'll
those
do it.
things work. And to be honest, that's a really great place to learn that process and understand how it works. So I think it would actually, you would be perfect for it.
You'd have a great role in sales.
She's amazing,
I'm
isn't
telling
she?
you, I'm like,
Okay, I'm
wow.
an occupational therapist and I take a strengths-based approach. But in all honesty, they bring research to the meetings. They bring all of that and disseminate it. And there's a lot of really good conversation, and they don't make you feel like just because you're not an educator, you shouldn't be in the room.
And-
I'm teasing you.
and
Most importantly, because of how you have been talking a lot about, and I think we are all in agreement, like first the focus was this, now the focus is, right, getting those test scores up and the proficiency scores up. And I agree, which is why I'm kind of sad to be stepping down, but all the more reason for you to be part of that process since you've been talking about it a
You
lot.
understand, like, to your point, it's the research, that's what you guys have already been educated on, right?
Right, but
So
they'll
I
help
do
with
that stuff to get caught up, and usually
Yeah.
when we have discussions around education, with the exception of maybe proficiency, I do more listening, believe it or not. I know that's rare for me, but I do more listening than I do talking when it comes to, Ms. Springer wants to talk about education, I'm gonna listen to that all day long. You, Dawn, Dr. Martin, even Justin I listen to, so.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, no, I just thought I'd throw that in. But understand why I was hesitant
Yeah,
to
of
do that,
course,
because I think
yeah.
there are better assets in the room.
So
But you can throw me on there.
thank you.
You're welcome. Just call me Mr. Teen.
Alright. Wellness, unless someone else wants it, I can throw myself on that, and that would be,
We meet quarterly, so that might not be too
that would be
bad for
too
you.
bad,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I love that committee.
Alright, wellness can be, alright. Anybody else have any, so Sean, you said you would do the CIP, you'd be good with that. Jack's gonna go on the curriculum assessment, we're all
Thank you,
good.
Thank you.
Do we need to do anything for strategic planning yet? No?
I believe it
Like,
expires in
right, we
28,
kind of took it off, we don't need to put anything on there right now at this point, we kind of.
I take a look at it, but I don't think we're out till 28.
I thought wasn't there some discussion about rethinking?
They're
That's
absolutely.
part of our school board goals.
We should probably talk about that.
That would be when we do our school
Board goals, our workshop on that, because it's a goal. So we do.
So if everyone is happy with the way the committee assignments are, then could I get a motion to accept them?
So moved. I make a motion to accept the committee assignments as Katie just spoke about.
Is
I do have
Dawn on enough of them?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mary Ann. Do I have any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Oppose and abstain. And Dawn, thank you for here lately. It seems like you have been picking up every committee here lately that someone can't go at, so I really appreciate
Oh, it's
your
been great.
availability.
The committees are so entertaining.
Thank you so much.
A real team player.
You really are. All right, moving on to policies. We
Okay.
got a couple.
You have two policies in front of you, both for a first read.
Okay.
The first one is significant, it's dense. I'm gonna try to give you a little bit of a background
Yes,
regarding
please.
some of the changes that are coming your way. So policy DAF is actually a suite of sub-policies. So you'll see DAF 1 through 13 in here, but they're all consolidated together. The reason this is in front of you primarily, when it first came to policy committee, we were informed a couple of months ago from the New Hampshire Bureau of Federal Compliance that effective October 1st of 2025, the state updated the federal acquisition thresholds for micro purchase threshold increases, and simplified acquisition purchases. Those were to reflect inflation increases and in the consumer price index. So those changes were made at the federal and state levels. And so primarily we started looking at this policy to align to those updates. So where you saw the original threshold was $10,000 for micro purchases, that now has increased to $15,000. Simplified acquisition threshold went from $250,000 to $350,000. That's predominantly, you will see that throughout the policy. Some other additions that are also coming your way pertain to updates that came our way from the DOE, the NHSBA, regarding some new legal requirements. So I'm gonna kind of skim through a little bit, but you will see DAF 12 is a new section that's relative to mandatory reporting on real property that the government has an interest in. DAF 13 is a new section relative to federal whistleblower protections. And then you will see some additions to sections that previously existed. So in DAF 3D, there's a section that adds veteran-owned and disabled service member-owned businesses to the categories that we are required to give priority to, if possible. Another section update, D5 rather, specific to conflicts of interest. That is some new language in there, that's legal language. DAF 5 and 9B have some additions relative to procedural things that we have had in place. Just those are updated specific to time and effort reporting. That a lot of that goes through the department that I manage, where we maintain any employees that are paid through federal funds. There are a lot of requirements and legal procedures that we are required to meet. And we have been doing those things, but there are recent updates, and so you'll see this reflected in the policy. So it's a lot to look through, so I'm happy to answer any questions the next time we meet, unless you have any right now.
Again, this is just a first read, but does anyone have any questions on policy DAF? It's really dense.
And this policy, again, this is based on federal guidelines.
Yep.
And so all of our federal grants, which include IDEA, Title 1A, Title 4A, Title 2A, are right now the grants that we do receive federal funding for. All of those fall under this policy.
Okay, so I guess my question is yes, it's a first read, but is anything gonna change if it goes back to policy? It's just gonna come back to us for a second read?
Good question.
I'm not sure I understand the question. So
So
it's a
it's-
first read for you, so you
It's
will
a
see
first
it
read
again
for
as a
us.
second read. Yes.
Right, but what I'm saying is, and I do understand doing a first read means other board members who aren't present tonight can do a digestion, but what I'm saying is without any feedback here, because it's a federal grant requirement, funds, there's no language that's really gonna change when it comes back to us for a second read.
We did not make any changes aside from what was recommended through legal changes that came our way or
Okay.
from what the DOE informed us of.
Okay, do you have a question, Marianne?
So in essence, are we already operating under these guidelines?
Yes.
So I was gonna make a motion for a second read and adoption of policy DAF.
I'll second that.
Alright, motion made by Shauna, seconded by Jack. Makes sense, we're operating under that, nothing's gonna change
Sure.
as legal language.
Isn't policy, if you're gonna adopt it, though, isn't policy that you gotta do something special?
I don't know.
I believe that there was something in there in policies if you wanna accelerate it. It's just not the normal process, cause the normal process is first read, second read.
Mhm.
We're doing something, you're proposing something different, you're,
I just said first, second read and adoption.
yeah, so that's totally, you're,
I mean, if you wanna be technical about it, I guess we could retract that, she could make a motion to waive policy.
I can find it. I can look it up right now. I'll pull up the policy.
I don't remember it exactly, but I remember there
We'll
was
pull up
something.
your policy and we'll check it out.
Yeah, no,
Just
I'm
bear
okay to
with
be
me for a
corrected.
moment.
No, so am I just assume,
yeah.
I mean, just because we're already functioning under that and just to make us compliant with something we're already doing.
I think it's just we make a
Yeah,
motion to waive.
that's whatever.
But if we're already running it, why disenfranchise the three other people that are not here tonight?
One of them's out having a good time, so I don't feel bad.
Well,
I wasn't gonna fully disclose where they were.
I have no problem throwing them.
It sounds like a school bus backing up. But
Well, I
anyways.
mean, here's the thing, it's not, we know it's to Shauna's point, it's not gonna change, it's mandated. And I understand, I mean, if this was something that could possibly change or somebody could stick their 2 cents into it, I would say, yeah, we should wait for the rest of the board, but that's not the case on this one.
All right, let me play devil's advocate on this thing, and what's the next policy that's gonna come through that we just say first, second, and adopt it, all in one night, one motion?
Would go
Pick
through
pick
the.
a policy, next
It
policy
would,
that,
it would go through the board process, and if nobody voted for it, it would get shot down, it would come back through, go back through the process.
It's not a big deal, I mean, we're is it 6
The
of one?
process would
if we
play
have
out.
a policy, that's the part that I'm trying to find out, is that if we have that, cause I remember when
Yeah, I actually
tried
think
doing
we've
this
done,
one time and it got brought up.
I think we've done this before. I'm not saying that it's right or that the policy
Right,
doesn't
exactly.
exist, I'm just saying,
Board
I
policy.
know we've done this before where
think we have
like
to
it makes
waive.
no sense just not to clean it off the table.
So do I make a motion to waive the first read? That's what I, like,
It is a typical process.
Yeah.
For districts.
Just to waive.
But if they have adopted that as their policy, every school board can have a different policy, you might not even allow that, no, it's not really
Policy BG, board policy process, does not have any language that I am seeing right now specific to a first and a second read. It speaks to the board approving policy based on the recommendation of the superintendent. And those recommendations coming from the superintendent being based on the outcomes of study, judgment of professional staff, appropriate study committees, the council of school attorney, if things regarding legality or proper legal procedures are aligned to the policy in question. So I do not see that. It may be in a procedure, then I'm happy to look for a procedure that speaks to a first and second read, but right now I'm not seeing that with a quick review.
And from policy committee member, perspective, I don't see a reason to hold it up. Conversations we've had have been pretty much, okay, that's the way it's gotta be. That's the way it is. We're doing it.
So we have done this before with other policies that because it was by law, nothing was gonna change, we were already operating. We have in the past gone ahead and done a first, second, and adoption. I say we go ahead and do that tonight. We can research. We can always come back and say, hey, rescind it, and then do it the other way. But there are checks and balances in place, but at the same time, if you guys wanna just do the process and do it as a first read, it's up to you guys.
Let me ask this. If we were to do that tonight, first, second, and adopt,
Mhm.
policy meets again.
Mhm.
If we find out that there's something gone awry here,
You have to fix
just
it again.
do it again,
So,
just revisit it.
Marianne?
Second Shauna's motion.
Yeah.
Okay, second.
Alright, so Shauna made the motion to approve policy DAF for first, second, and adoption. First, second read and adoption. Marianne seconded it. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And abstain, so 5-1-0. Okay. And then we'll do some research and I'll come back at the next board meeting, and if we did something out of procedure, we can change it. It's not a big deal.
All right, the second policy in front of you is actually connected to one that I'm gonna speak to both of these at the same time.
ahead.
So you have in front of you policy KEC, some revisions to that. That is the policy that governs challenged materials. Right below that, you also have a notice to repeal, not at this meeting, but at a future meeting, policy IJM, which is also called challenged materials. So a couple of things, just for context. We began reviewing this policy a couple of years ago. At the time, there had been some legislation up in Concord, proposed legislation that did not, I believe it was deemed an expedient to legislation. It did not move forward to the final process to become RSA. That said, we went through these two policies, which right now we have identical policies. They are coded in two different sections of our policy manual, but the verbiage and language is 100% identical for both of these. when we began doing this research, and this went through policy committee, it also went to curriculum and assessment committee and back to policy committee. We connected with legal. We went through the New Hampshire School Boards Association's sample policy manual. What we discovered is that policy IJM was unique to Timberlane. The New Hampshire School Boards Association maintains policy KEC, as do most other school districts in the state. The policy IJM, which is a duplicate, did not exist anywhere else. So the primary reason that we are recommending the repeal of policy IJM is not because we don't believe we need the policy, it's because it is a duplicate and we are trying to streamline our policies to make sure that if one is updated, we don't have things that are in conflict with one another. So that's sort of the simple presentation of it. Second to that is that you'll see some updates to policy KEC. Primarily, that is because our former policy had procedural language in it, and we discovered that we did not have a procedure for policy KEC. And in the course of going through this, we have since developed an updated procedure. Again, the board approves policy, we develop procedures to implement policies. We discovered some situations in going through this process. For example, we had no part of a procedure that had timelines if we had more than one challenge at once. So there are some things that we were able to add into the procedure to really shore up our process, to make sure that we are prepared to handle any challenges in a timely manner in accordance with legal requirements. And so all of that procedural language was taken out. And right now the policy in essence is very similar to what we had on the books, minus that procedural language, which has not disappeared. It's just been moved into what will be coded KEC-R. And there is an associated form KEC-X. Both of those will be uploaded to the policy section of our website once the policy goes through the complete process here, and if it is approved by the board. So, okay, happy to answer any questions you may have. But.
Jack.
Yeah, this used to be citizens' request for reconsideration. That used to be called something else, wasn't it? Am I thinking of the same policy?
You may. There are two policies that connect to right in the Parental Bill of Rights. So parents, first and foremost, have the right to request an alternative assignment for their children if they object to specific course material. So we have a different policy related to objections to course material. And that would be a parent requesting an alternative assignment for their child. That's been on the books for many years. It's in place, it's in practice. There's a form that we use for that. It happens, I don't want to say frequently, but it happens every year. We get several of them and we process them and work with parents on that. This would be for, aside from a parent, a citizen as a taxpayer. And this is connected to, I think it's Article 8 of the New Hampshire Constitution. Anything purchased with taxpayer funds, citizens have a right to challenge it based on if they believe the money was used illegally. This policy is not alleging that money is used illegally, but right, if someone has a concern with something that we are using, as a taxpayer, they have a right to request that we go through a process to evaluate it and make a recommendation that goes to the superintendent. And ultimately, if that recommendation of the superintendent, if the petitioner did not agree with that, it would ultimately come to the board, whose authority would be final.
I was trying to connect those two different, the curriculum part versus this, and because, it's.
This policy would remove the material entirely from either the library or circulation for all students.
And I'm sure.
Whereas the other one would be for the child of that parent.
And I'm sure you said this, the Instructional Book Material Review Committee, while I was reading it, you may have designated who comprises that committee.
So it is, it depends on the building. It depends on whether or not it is a school library or it's a library or something used in a classroom. So in the case of a library resource, the librarian would be part of that committee. It is run by the principal, the assistant superintendent. We have community members, so could be a PTSA member, typically another parent, and other staff members who don't teach the work in question. We typically try to find individuals who aren't closely associated with it. So that's how that would work.
Yeah, I did find the other policy, and I think it would be good in this one to have a statement that this is not for a parent looking for a alternate assignment for their.
So a note somewhere?
Yeah, just 'cause we have a lot of policies and
We
you could
do.
easily come across the wrong policy for what you're trying to do.
I think step one of the procedure is to contact the principal directly. So I think, right, the policy tries to advocate that communication, open line of communication between the individual who might be raising the challenge and the school district or the school itself. So we can add that to the policy. We could also, in the procedure, have that be right at the start of the procedure. Do you think that should be policy language or procedure?
I think it should, to Marianne's point, we do have a lot, and sometimes people will go online and look at policy as like, I know
sure.
that we like, oh, just call the principal, but some people I think don't understand that and they look for policy of what they should be doing. So I think just a quick note would be a good idea, so if they're reading, but Dawn?
Sure.
Just about anything that's even close to controversial, a teacher sends, out, or here's a
Oh, yeah,
controversial
on top of that,
material
yeah.
form, get it signed in advance,
Yeah,
return. So any parent has an opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
And react.
Yeah, and I'm thinking also of community members who are concerned about what's being taught, not that they have a student that would be affected. And so they see this and say, wow, that seems like a lot to do. And so I think
I think that's a good idea.
just having that.
Sure.
Can I be crazy here and suggest, as we talk about, because I get a lot of calls, who do I see, who do I talk to? Could we have do we have a parent handbook or some type of guide where it says, you could do conduct issues, curriculum issues,
Isn't that the student handbook?
Yeah, but is
that
that-
information's in the student handbook, that,
is
the
it?
parent
The
signs
parents
every
sign.
year.
Jack, you got a book deal in your future.
I know where to get the paper.
It is in the student handbooks
Okay,
that,
but-
yeah, and it's in there and
But
then,
I was just saying specific for, it's in the student handbook, but then we just talked about residents, Mary Ann just talked about residents wanting to know what was going on, so I don't know how it's just like a brief guide. I just thought, well, you guys were talking.
I can consider that.
you could do a FAQ, frequently asked questions. Who do you call?
You
Call
guys,
Jack.
you can always encourage the folks that you encounter in your communities. They have one number they can call. They can call the SAU. It's awesome here. We have a human being that answers the phone. And we can kind of respond and direct them to the folks but there are a lot of different reasons that you'd wanna call. And we're a large organization and it's daunting, so one number is an easy thing. Good direction.
So do we wanna make a motion for a first read for KEC?
Make a motion to approve policy KEC challenged materials for a first read.
Do I have a second? Second by Mary Ann. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. And then this last one is just, we're on notice, correct?
This is the notice of the planned agenda item for your next meeting, which would be to repeal IJM, again, just because it's a duplicate.
Yeah.
And to align better with the policy manual of New Hampshire School Boards Association and other districts.
And we can't
Yes.
repeal it if not all of us are here.
That's right.
All of us have to be here.
I will not be here.
So then it's not gonna be repealed next board meeting.
You have to notify us before that we vote, so you're
That's right.
notifying us.
We're notifying you that we
Sorry,
plan to
gang.
bring that to you when we have.
Full
9 of you
attendance.
here.
Okay. All right. Next up, administrator's report.
All right, awesome. I'd like to first begin by bringing Mark Pedersen to the table. I think that if you remember, we had some previous conversations around finding some moments in the admin report to highlight some student achievement pieces. And one of the pieces of data that I had asked Mark to look more deeply at was the high school AP scores, and specifically students who are scoring at a 3 or 4 level there. Recently, New Hampshire just released its data on our students as a state about how they were performed. And when we were looking at the Timberlane data, I think this is a great conversation to have because I think it highlights some great things that are going on with kids and what they're achieving. But also the exercise that we do with kids all the time about wanting to talk more about just the surface number and really have a comparative analysis about what this stuff means. So I asked Mark to come and be able to have some brief conversation tonight. This is intended to be a conversation. We're going to start just with some information. My hope is that as we bring these periodically back to you, there's some conversation on the board around student achievement, and then we can run through some of the more traditional admin report with Doc Martin and Sandy, and then I'll close with myself. But wanted to give Mark this kind of opportunity and highlight, and hopefully it will spur some conversation amongst the board.
Sure.
Appreciate you being here, Mark.
So just before we get into that, just as a reminder to people, advanced placement or AP are content-specific exams based upon a course that's taught at the collegiate level. So kids are taking that at Timberlane or in schools in New Hampshire or really around the world. The exams are scored on a 1 through 5, where usually scores of a 3, 4, or 5 are considered passing or qualifying. Most colleges will accept a 3, a 4, or 5. Some colleges will only accept it if it's a 4 or 5 for either credit or you can just get exempt out of like an introductory course. So that is sort of a primer to that. And in 2025, Timberlane offered 16 different AP courses with 110 students taking 182 exams. So just some numbers before you start looking at some of these numbers. So as Justin said, the state recently and in March 3rd, 2026, released a report that's the highlight of that report that New Hampshire ranked second nationally for percentage of AP exams taken that score 3 or higher. About 77% of them, New Hampshire students, earned a 3, 4, or 5 on at least one exam. There's a little bit of a caveat that I'd like to just point out there is that the College Board, when I look at the data, now maybe New Hampshire has a special way of looking at the data, does not separate out private school from public school. So my sort of belief is that that number is representing all New Hampshire kids, whether they're private school or public school. So about 77% of New Hampshire students earned a 3, 4, or 5, whereas 74% of Timberlane students earned a 3, 4, or 5. So we're pretty much right there with the state. And that graph to the right is what you're seeing is just the 5-year trend. And so it's, the total number of AP students with scores of 3, 4, or 5. And so that's of the 110 students. And so some of those students are taking multiple AP exams. So it's not just one exam to one exam. And then if I look at my next data set, what I looked at is just those tests that Timberlane offers. So there's other tests that Timberlane and courses that Timberlane doesn't offer. So what I've been doing over the years is just tracking the trends of Timberlane students versus New Hampshire students versus global students of just our courses. So that first slide was looking at students in general, and that the New Hampshire data is all the New Hampshire tests. Obviously, we're just looking at our tests, so I just compared our students on the tests that we offer to the tests, to the comparable tests at the state and the global average. One thing to note though, and another sort of caveat to all of this data is that Timberlane requires all of our students to take the exam per policy IHCD. That was a policy enacted a number of years ago where the board felt like it was such an important test and such an important piece of this data that we require all kids who are enrolled in that course to take it. What most people don't know then outside of this district is most other districts, only the kids who feel like they're going to get a qualifying score take it. So if kids might spend the entire year taking a course and then just choose not to take the exam. So we're putting our kids, all of our kids, against schools that are kind of only putting their best of the best. Those kids in other districts also are paying for themselves to take it. Our district pays for those kids. So, it's our kids don't have, like our kids are doing well compared to the best of other schools. And so I feel like our kids are just as comparable to both the state and the national and global, especially when you're looking at we're testing all of our kids and it's the numbers of all of our kids versus just the state and the global which is including private schools and including kids that, or not including all the kids, so those kids who probably might not do well, they're electing not to take it and spend that money. So that's kind of the two data sets that I wanted to present in light especially of, that state headline that says that New Hampshire is second in the nation. And we're, as a school, we're pretty much right there with the state. And I believe looking at kind of sussing out through that data, we're actually, in my opinion, doing better than the state average. So our AP kids are really set up for success, and finding that our kids are doing really well in all of our AP courses.
Any question? Yeah, Jack, Don.
So is it fair to say, Mark, I've always kind of made this argument that 25%, say, of my son's class coming out of the academy, when they get to the 8th grade, they peel off to Central, they peel off to Exeter, they peel off to Andover, Brooks, Governors. Those kids, are going to be scoring high in the test. But I still consider them products of the Timberlane Regional School District. And my guess is they would be scoring high on these tests. And I don't think it's a true reflection of part of our accomplishments. I think if they had stayed here, right, whereas some other towns probably, or cities, districts, don't have as many kids peeling off per se. And that skews the numbers even more than the private schools versus the.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably make that argument. I mean, the test is, yes, it is a culminating test of that one particular course, but I really feel,
all the years,
all the years that went into that has an impact on this as well.
You don't get to the AP course unless you come up through.
Yeah, I mean, you can, I'll take myself for example. I took AP Bio when I was in high school, and it was more than just that one class that prepared me for that exam. It was my years of school that helped me get there. And in fact, my AP teacher was not a great teacher. I did it myself. Like knowing what I had, all my years of experience helped me get there and drove me to do well on it. So I think we when we look at AP scores, we can't just assume it's one school year of school that helps kids get there. I think it's the entire system that helps kids get there.
And I guess my point was a lot of that AP success isn't being reflected in our specific scores. They may be somewhere else, but still as a result of coming up through the 8th grade. I mean, you just don't want the course to do well.
Yeah.
Don.
There's certainly a lot to it in terms of the development of the curriculum as it's taught. There's certainly model courses that people can use to guide that, but the teachers do a lot of work to try to make it an engaging course and good for all the kids in the class, regardless of whether they're going to end up getting a 4 or 5 or a 2. There's such value in a high level course, a course that challenges kids. You wouldn't necessarily know which kid is going to get a high score. And I've seen that happen where it was so good to see a kid that was maybe an average to better than average student, but not a gifted student, come up with a 3 or 4 or 5 on that exam after going through the process. You're in a classroom of people who are taking on a big challenge and looking at maybe the carrot of a reward in bypassing, like you said, a prerequisite or something at a college course, at a college that they might go to the next year. But those are when you're doing that, it's like the kid that wants to go to the toughest military thing. They're going to want to be a Marine. It's a way to prove yourself. I've got this, I can do this. Or they're encouraged to. Maybe it's one thing their parents want to see. You find that one thing you can do that you can prove to yourself that you belong with the best of the best. And I see a lot of that in the coaching that goes into these kids. So those results are phenomenal. I'm so proud of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, Don, I feel like these are the courses where kids really truly shine in what they want to do. And they're taking these courses because they value the content and they're interested in it, and they're with like-minded kids who have value and interest in those courses. So it's really getting to what those kids want, and it's cool to see those kids just shine in those courses. And the teachers, draw that out from the kids and really get those kids involved in it.
Have the AP course offerings and the numbers of students here stayed relatively stable, or are they going up or down?
I don't have that data in front of me, but I've been tracking that for the past 20 years. I can come back and give you that, but I feel like some courses goes in waves. Probably, if you looked at it over the 20 years, it's probably stable percentage wise. But yeah, courses tend to go in waves, like AP Psych. We offered new this year, and I think we had like a little bit of a blip. And then it kind of went down a little bit for next year, only because like juniors and seniors took it this year, whereas like now, so like courses go in blips, but for the most part, it's been pretty stable. If we see a decline in some AP offerings, we'll consider, do we archive it for a number of years and then bring it back if we want, or is there a different AP course? But we just, it's all part of when we do the course program of studies, we analyze, course enrollments, and we make decisions about what are we going to run, what are we not going to run.
Any other questions for Mark? Okay, check.
I know this may be a silly question, but do we ever look at someone that scores, a 3 on the AP course? Is there a correlation between where they score on that and where they score on the SATs?
I haven't done that. I would say that anecdotally, it's two sort of different. I'm sure we could do that data, but again, anecdotally, I would say it's two different sort of
animals.
Animals in a way. Things are just changing, right? It's that some colleges are not accepting or don't require the SATs. So for some kids, they're just they're not maybe putting as much into it as, say, an AP, where they've already spoken to the college that they want to go to, and they know that like this particular AP is going to get them out of XYZ intro course.
I was just wondering if there was a correlation between the aptitude on these tests and results on the SAT. If there was any type of correlation, but I understand.
Potentially, I think there's also just so many variables with so many pieces to it when they take it as a junior versus when they're taking, some of these APs they're taking it their senior year, and just things might have changed.
Okay.
I'm sure I could dig into that
I'm not
data.
asking you to.
Any other questions for Mr. Pedersen?
Mark,
Thank you for bringing
so
all
much.
that.
Yeah, appreciate the board for engaging in that conversation. Doc Martin, could we continue with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this afternoon was one of those joyous afternoons on the campus here, on our secondary campus. There were probably 200 or 300 kids out there, whether it was the middle school track meet or our middle school softball team, our middle school baseball team, our high school baseball team practicing, high school tennis team, a ladies tennis team. It's just a really nice afternoon to see kids engaged in something really, really positive. And we know that the data tells us how important athletics and after school activities and music are in their lives. As far as growth is concerned and activity. The other thing I wanted to talk about on the music end was we had our principals and directors meeting this weekend. We had a guest, we had Officer McDonald from the high school that joined us, who has a child that is in our beginning instrumental program. And he started the conversation in his in, as you know, Justin does these in and out things at our meetings. And his in was that he thanked Kurt Schweiss for talking about at the combined elementary concert, what it means to bring all of the communities together, how it represents the unity of the communities, and how cool it was for him as a dad to see the kids all performing together. Which I thought was really, really a very profound statement, and speaks to the value of music in our schools as well. I am advertising the mental health week at the high school next week. I'm very excited about participating in that. I encourage you to come to the fair. Where there are the kids, there's a bunch of kids there. These are my stickers from last year. It also is really neat to see these organizations, Connors Climb and others who are there to share with our kids. These are the mental health resources out there that exist. And there's some fun stuff too, like they make shakes. The food service director will be there making shakes with some kid on a bicycle. I don't get it, but it works. So that's a really positive thing, all organized by our kids and supported by staff. And again, another highlight for us to be very proud of. Today I had a chance to meet with the tech department. My other departments haven't had a lot of attention while I didn't have a facilities director, so that was really important. We talked a lot about summer construction, best use of funding, et cetera, et cetera. It was really, I was glad to be with them, and we'll continue to do that with Mr. Henderson. Let's talk a little bit about the bus company again. I want to highlight when things go well with the bus company. Last Tuesday, I called Justin and said, oops, we don't have any power in a portion of Sandown North, and that means no bathrooms, no pump, sewer pump, no anything. And until we could get somebody out there to make an assessment on why that occurred, we had to make a decision about sending the kids home. The bus company responded quickly, and there was some question mark about whether or not they'd be able to get to their secondary run on time. And I was in my window watching, and it was like 1:55 when the last bus pulled up. So I was very pleased and very proud of them for their participation in that event and not delaying our secondary runs or other. We had our first CIP meeting on Monday night. By the way, the next one is May 11th at 6:15. And I'll be sending out materials. The materials are always on the website at least a week earlier, but I'll be sending out individual materials to our CIP members as well. I'm back into the facilities department. Mr. Brander and Ms. Greenfield, our new facilities manager, we're still working on onboarding and reorganization of that department as far as duties are concerned. Things are going very well. And I think Mark has integrated himself very nicely into our work with EEI, both of our architectural firms that we're working with right now. And it's really his interactions with our maintenance team and our grounds team are really very, very positive. We will be distributing a painting RFP tomorrow or Monday if I can finish it quickly. We have other expiring contracts that we need to create RFPs for, and Mark and I will be working on those in the coming weeks. I think that's it for us for now, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I just have one thing I want to highlight. So next week we are aware that we have Mental Health Awareness Week. I want to highlight something happening at the Pollard School next Thursday. So primarily a student and family event, but I think if you happen to be here for the food trucks and other things going on here Thursday night, you want to head over to Pollard, you will likely see some pretty cool things going on. So I think we are all aware that it is America's 250th birthday coming up this year. A lot of our schools and students' classrooms are digging into some resources at the school level. There's a lot of resources right now at the state and national level instructionally to celebrate this. Pollard prepared an event that's happening next Thursday. It is allowing families to come in and see how every grade level in the building, including their unified arts, the library, every grade level has dug into America's history through a different lens. And it's a student-guided tour. So families will be coming with their students. Students are taking the role of the teacher for the night, walking their parents through the building to teach them about what they learned. Some of the projects, I'm just going to give you a couple highlights. In the kindergarten and pre-K hallway, They'll be talking about the beauty of New Hampshire's flora and fauna and look at pre-K's hallway that displays the beautiful birds of America. Grade 1 is looking at the variety of animal life across our nation. The second grade hallway is more focused on the Plastow community and the history behind that community. Grade 3 is looking at diverse habitats. Once you hit grade 4, it's a journey around the regions of the United States. And grade 5 focused on the revolution and the journey to the revolution. If you want to head into the gym, you can learn about famous American Olympians. And in the art, library, and innovation, they have some projects that students worked on, exploring the Kentucky Derby, other projects, photo booths, some really fun events. So we're proud of the work that they did to align across all grade levels to really dig into this at different developmental levels. And I think it's been a really great night for the families and kids to showcase what they've been learning all year. So congratulations to them. Look forward to hopefully stopping by and getting a tour.
It's really
So
cool.
yeah, it'll be fun.
Tour from a kid.
Tour from a kid. That's great.
Good for
I'm
you?
all set. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's it.
If I could just have a few minutes, I want to review a couple things and then kind of look forward and put some things on your radar. The first is I met with Marianne and Sean in Mark, I think last Friday, with Ginger, and we reviewed some special education information and some data. So just wanted to share that with the board, that if you've got some inquiries about what that data presented or some of those conversations, I know any of the three of them would be open to connecting with you and to share kind of the outcomes that some of the things that we discussed then. Also wanted to put in one final last plug for the Career Expo on April 20th. As a board member, if you've got a skill set and you've got the time to kind of donate that day, it'd be great to be able to teach kids about your own pathway to illuminate maybe what theirs could possibly be. So we'd love to see as many people there as we can on the 20th.
What time is that?
Yeah.
It's during the day. I think it's 10:30 to 12:30. I have an email.
I do too. Marianne, and you've put this in front of us again, I think, at some point too.
Oh, I sent it to Sean at one point because he wasn't here when we got it the first time.
10:30 to 1:15.
10:30 to 1:15.
It's Monday, right?
It's Monday. And Daniel Foley at the high school, one of the assistant principals, is the contact there. So if you needed any direct reach out, that's the person that can help you coordinate and have your booth.
Awesome.
All right. And also looking ahead, remind you, May 7th is our next school board meeting. We're going to be over at the PAC. We're going to begin in an informal session at 6:30. It's just going to be a gathering of all of our retirees and the families that they're invited there. So we're going to have a small gathering outside of the auditorium. The board meeting will begin at 7 p.m. I'll work with Katie and Mark. The first agenda item will be a public recognition of each retiree. We'll kind of recognize their contribution to the district. We're hopefully going to have their first contract they had with the district to
Oh, that's
present to
cool.
them, and just to be able to publicly thank them for their work. The combined years of service we're going to see that evening is a high number. And lastly, kind of looking ahead, meeting dates. I think I've shared with all of you. I'm confirmed with all the Board of Selectmen in the towns through the end of the year. For those dates, if you're able to make it, when I say this, if you're not able to make it, could you please let Kelly know directly? I'm happy to speak to the deliberative session if there's not school board representation there. But if you are there or plan to be there, I just want to be able to be sure that I'm planning on that end too. And if you needed to resend those dates, you can always ask me to do that as well. One of the things that's come from my conversations with some board members outside of the meetings around just of what they're hearing from the community is some investigation into home sales across our district, how frequency rents are changing over, and also are there any data or information on the number of foreclosures that may or may not have happened in our district. So my office is actively working to gather some reliable data there, and I'd love to be able to bring that back here. We could track home sales and we could track numbers of foreclosures over time, and maybe that spawned more conversation about educating ourselves what's happening in our communities. So that's on my horizon. Also looking about the deliberative survey, I've gotten some input from the board and individual members about what that survey should look like. We've drafted a draft of it. I'm going to send that to you, the full board, tomorrow. What we can do is you can look at that and individually send any feedback you have to myself or Kelly. And then what I like to do is to have a closed back of feedback session so I can get that survey up and ready for the first Board of Selectmen meeting, which will be the first week we get back from the school vacation for the kids. So that'll be a timely thing for you. And lastly, I wanted to ask the school board, we send out a recap of the board meeting after every one. I have been writing the narrative of that recap. I just wanted to offer the opportunity, as it is a school board recap, if any of the school board members also maybe wanted to take that role almost as secretary and be penning that narrative, that you could simply just send to me. We'll do all the tools of working with the data and the information and keying it to the videos and putting the graphics on there. But if it wanted to have more of a school board voice, I certainly would not want to steal that opportunity from you in the coming weeks.
That could be a big mistake. I think the voice has been just spot on.
I'm not talking about the AI voice reading it. I'm talking about the thinking that goes behind writing it. If you want to write it, we will be able to still prepare it and present it as it's been prepared. But if you have any interest in that, I'd be happy to talk with you about it. That's all I have for tonight.
So if you're interested, please let Justin know. All right, personnel report, Shauna.
Make a motion to accept the professional nomination of Jenna Morrison, English teacher at Timberlane High School.
I've got a motion by Shauna, do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Sean, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained, 600, okay.
Make a motion to accept the professional resignation of Molly Susian, assistant principal at Atkinson Academy. That's what they call her, Mrs. T, right?
I have a motion from Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Jack, any other discussion? All those in favor? 600.
Make a motion to accept the professional retirement of Elizabeth Ellis, media generalist, Timberlane Regional Middle School, and thank her for her commitment and dedication to the kids of our district.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Sean, any other discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna miss the cookies that she always had.
Oh, is that what she did?
Sweet roll there.
Oh.
That's an impression.
And it's sweet. All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, 600. All right, committee reports and just reports of the school board. Start with Sean.
Did we have one more?
No, we had the nomination, resignation, and retirement.
Was there renomination? Oh. No, okay,
I think we're all set.
okay.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you though for checking, double checking.
Yeah.
Sean, committee reports. School board.
CIP's going good.
Thank you. Mary Ann.
I don't have any committee reports. I did have the opportunity to see Hadestown, which was awesome. It was the night, one of the nights Cam was the Hades. It was very well done. And I also had the opportunity to attend the Danville Academic Fair a couple nights ago. And that was a great event where kids brought their parents into classrooms, their student work was displayed, the teachers were there to answer questions. I saw lots of very proud students, enthusiastic parents, and very welcoming and friendly staff. It was a really nice occasion. And on the deliberative session, I heard from one community member since our last meeting, so I'm gonna keep updating
absolutely.
as we go.
Thank you. Shauna.
I have a couple things. So Wellness Committee met last Wednesday. Thank you, Dawn, for coming and joining me there. There was just a lot of discussion on closing up activities that are happening for this year and thinking forward for next year, and just to put that future activity on the radar of everybody here on the board is that we're looking for, we know there's mental health week at the high school. There are building wellness days, but we're really looking to try and champion a district-wide wellness day where everyone in the district at all different levels, pre-K through 12 are spending a day focusing on some wellness activities. So we are going to start those conversations sooner rather than later. And then just also some additional gathering of information related to wellness activities, screen time, physical activity, recess, and just sort of asking them to bring some information back from their building levels to the next committee meeting so that we can make sure we're in alignment with the triennial report that we focus on all of those wellness related goals. So it was a good meeting and we are primed and ready for next time around. So Thanks for joining me. The high school esports tournament that was scheduled for a few weeks ago, I wasn't able to attend because it snowed that Sunday and they rescheduled it. So it is this coming Sunday. So I know the kids are really excited about competing then. Everybody already mentioned that the campus is alive and well with all the spring events. It's really cool. I live right up the street and I drive by here multiple times. It's just great to see everything looking great out there. So thank you to the facilities folks that have really done a great job. Last night as a parent, I went to the 8th grade Washington DC trip meeting, and I have to say how impressed I was with the amount of information that was correlated and given to us about the dates, the times, the locations. They got their room assignments, their chaperones, their buses, their bags. Everything is coordinated. Everything is digitized. So all the kids have the apps on their phone and everything else. But just, I was really impressed. There's 13 chaperones going. The head chaperone is Robin Mahoney, who is the 8th grade school counselor. So huge thank you to her. I wrote down all the chaperone names last night, but just thank you for giving up your April vacation to take over 140 8th grade students to Washington, D.C. to give them that opportunity. Really, really grateful for that. And my final update is I have been contacted by the middle school competitive cooking team because they watched a school board meeting of recent and someone not here tonight said that we should challenge them to a cooking competition. And so there has been outreach to this board member. We've been called out about they are game and they would like to have a competition against any board members if we can get it organized. What I asked Ms. Chulgen to do was to send me an email about the rules and parameters that the kiddos had to compete under. And I am willing to champion and challenge these friends, but I'm not doing it alone because the rules are pretty entailed. So I just want to share because I want to get back to the teacher and the children, the students that reached out to me. But it's essentially like you can't prep anything ahead of time. And okay, so
It's called a performance
okay,
assessment.
so the dish, it's a performance assessment. It's a lab clinical in my world. Okay, so the theme ingredient was mushroom. The dish theme is street food. The teams had 1 hour to complete their dish. It had to include a protein, starch, and vegetable. No prep can be done ahead of time besides marinating, proofing a dough, or making a stock. Teams could not have more than 5 students. So again, I'm gonna need 4 homies here. Join me. And teams needed to make 3 plates, 1 per judge, because there was 3 judges there. And the judging included presentation, taste, creativity with incorporating the theme ingredient. And just to let you know, there were 3 very famous local judges that judged these students. If anyone's familiar with, the folks at Tuckaway. Bobby was one of the judges. So, and they beat everyone. So I think we have our competition cut out for us, but I would like to get back to them about sort of a timeline so that we can cook. Their idea was to have us prepare some foods before our board meeting, do a little, interaction there, and then present it here. I don't know who would be judging. We would probably have to find some judges.
The 3 of us
I
are judging.
imagine that we might be able to find
I thought that was already
some
decided.
administrators to judge. So is anybody interested in moving forward on that?
I live on the food channel network.
Well, no offense, I was dragging you into this anyways, because you also, I went back and
Shut my
watched the
mouth
board
off, you
meeting.
can say it.
And you were talking about barbecue and things, but anyways, they're actually really excited about it. And so I loved that. I loved the outreach, really. I was really thrilled that they were like, so what do you think about? I'm like, oh, if you're interested in doing it. And the teacher, Sarah Children, who was in charge of it, was very on board with dedicating even more of her own time to help these kids compete against us. So I got 1, 2,
I'll cook with you.
3, 4. I love. Okay. So if you guys are okay with this, I'm going to let them know that we have them and then potentially choose a date before the next board meeting. I'm not available on May 7th. I don't know if anybody's available before the 14th. You might not be, right?
I'm not available for the 21st.
the 21st. Is that the next one after that?
Yeah.
The 7th and the 21st.
Yeah, the first and the third.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
What about the first? Well, they're running out of time.
I know.
Their school year's ending. They're very anxious.
I can
and
make it for the
excited.
21st though. I can make it work.
What's maybe we could do the first, well, the other reason why I didn't want to do it the first Thursday in June was because of policy committee. So I didn't know.
Maybe policy committee,
Well,
be
it doesn't
amendable.
interfere with CIP, I'm okay with it.
All
I
right,
have a feeling we'll make it work.
all right. So
Whether
you guys,
policy
I will
committee-
reach out. I'll look at the calendar, check in with her and reach out on a date.
And because I know Mitch is probably watching, I don't think we do these students any good by taking it easy on them.
That's the only reason I'm joining it, I'm not, there's no mercy.
Okay, so I will follow up with them and thank you.
Appreciate Shauna. All right, I am not as colorful as what Shauna was with her. The safety committee met yesterday. It was some really good discussion. There's some stuff that's gonna be coming up hopefully down the pipe very soon. We can discuss that later. Dawn?
Well, committees work, I've been enjoying, as I said, but I never enjoyed anything more than the last week or so, watching all the kids around, like you mentioned, what you saw, right? Just about every field was filled. A lot of parents there. In fact, a lot of parent volunteers like today for the track meet helping get it done. Teachers volunteering to help get it done, whether it's raking the pits or, measuring the throws or, timing. It was a real community, plus to look out there and see so many people involved, enjoying great weather finally, right? And then that musical was astounding. It was amazing. The singing, the choreography, which, the choreography was basically done by a student. With the presentation we had here was tip of the iceberg. What I saw there, I was there Saturday night also, was a tremendous effort. The kids were so proud of themselves when they were done. They were very thankful for all the people that helped them, from the custodians, right, to the director. A lot of great compliments. And I was so proud of the district just because of the product, that those kids, were able to produce, and I think we're in really good shape with, if that's an indication of the community that we're, representing.
Jack?
Dawn, is it true that the SAU called down to you and asked me to mark the javelin thrown?
They were saying javelin catching.
Catching, right. That's kind of where I was going with that. CIP, basically, we had an organizational meeting. We reviewed some of the changes to the capital because there were all kinds of things that we originally put on the original list. We're gonna have to revisit, bringing some of the nuances of the CIP, bringing the new members up to speed on what was going on there. Facilities, I think we beat that horse earlier, and that was basically what comprised the entire meeting. And I meant it when I said they're not here now, so we're very fortunate to have the support of the people that we have, because it always doesn't play out that way. So that's, I'm pretty happy about that. To Dr. Martin and Dawn's point, the day before yesterday, I came in the parking lot, the SAU, and there wasn't even a baseball game. The SAU parking lot was packed. The field, down by the tennis courts was packed. I drove all around the back of the high school, all the way down to the middle school, and the whole front parking lot was full. And I'm just looking around saying, this is fantastic. This is what it's all about. Kids spent the whole day in school, and then everybody is here. All the parents were here. The stands were at the lacrosse game. The stadium was it was just really cool. And that's about it.
Okay. All right, anything for other business at this time? Okay. Do we have any other delegates or individuals?
We do not.
All right, we don't have non-public, so good night, everybody. I'm calling this meeting off at 9:03. Have a good evening.
Thank you.